What's up YouTube, it's Zapdos TCG here, and thanks again for tuning in for another TCG deck profile video. Today we are gonna check out Swampert. That's right, this card from the Celestial Storm set is actually quite good. It's a one-price attacker, it has 160 HP, it has an attack Hydro Pump dealing 80 damage plus 20 more for every water energy attached to it, and the best thing yet, it has Power Draw, an ability that lets us discard one card from the hand, and then you can draw 3 cards, and as we've seen with Zoroark GX, drawing cards is amazing. So today we're gonna check out a deck list with it and see if you guys have any suggestions for it. So the first thing we're gonna have, of course, is 4 copies of Swampert. This Swampert card is kind of easy to get because it's not a GX, and you can easily get yourself 4 copies of. It's not gonna be that expensive, so it's kind of like a budget deck. We are gonna rely on a couple of Tapu-Lele, but I'm also gonna talk about some replacements for it. If you don't have Tapu-Leles, we're also gonna give you some strategies here and there. Then we're also gonna run 1 copy of Marshtomp. I would suggest maybe running more copies, but I am a huge fan of Rare Candy, and with Espeon EX leaving the format in September, having 4 Rare Candies and then a 4/4 line of Swampert is a little bit better in my opinion. So since the format is incredibly fast, we definitely need to have our Swampert out as soon as possible, and it's gonna be kind of like a snowball effect. If you get 1 Swampert out, you can easily use the Power Draw ability to get yourself some more resources in order to get the second Swampert out. And then it's a snowball effect. If you get 2 out, then in the following turn you have access to twice the ability here, and then you can just get more out. So with Swampert, easy to get out as soon as you get the first one out. But we're also gonna have a little bit of help. We're also gonna run one line of Magcargo. Why is Magcargo in this list? It has the amazing ability that lets you put any card that you want from the deck on the top of the deck. And if you get access to any card that you want, you actually have an answer to everything. Let's say, oh, and now right now I need maybe like an extra energy. You can put it on the top of the deck. Let's say you need that choice band at a particular time. Well, you can just put it on the top of the deck and draw it out with Swampert. So a 1/1 line of the Magcargo is in here. I just enjoy the ability so much. Let's say you're dead drawing, well, no problem, you just put a Sycamore on top of the deck, and then you just power trade, and out of nowhere you can just get yourself rolling once again. Let's say you need that Guzma, Magcargo will be sure to put it on the top of the deck. Next up is 1 copy of Alolan Vulpix. Why is Alolan Vulpix in here? Well, because of the attack Beacon. For 0 energies, you can search your deck for 2 Pokemon and put them in the hand. Most of the time, that will be maybe a Swampert and a Magcargo. At the time where you use the first turn Brigette, it's gonna be amazing to get your stuff out with Alolan Vulpix. I could also suggest including 1 copy of Alolan Ninetales GX from the Guardians Rising set. Of course, that one has the Ice Blade attack, Ice Patch GX. You can also have that second attack that deals 160 damage. So that could be a shot machine out of nowhere, but this is a 1-price attacking deck, so I did not include it in the list, but it's definitely it's capable of doing quite well if you include it. Next up, 2 copies of Tapu-Lele. Why is Tapu-Lele in here? Well, for the first place thing in my head is just getting out that first turn Brigette. If you're not getting that first turn Brigette, this deck is not doing that well, although you can also have something else. You can rely on things like Nazball, not gonna put it in the list here, but if you don't have Tapu-Lele, you can either run a couple of Nazballs, maybe some Brooklet Hills. Those can also get out your Vulpix and Mudkip. So Nazball can also get out Slugma, by the way. So if you don't have Tapu-Lele, just fill your deck with a bunch of Nazballs, Brooklet Hills, that could also do the trick. But in this situation, we're gonna run 2 copies of Tapu-Lele because we can easily grab our first turn Brigette. Moving forward to the supporters, now that we're talking about it, we're actually going to run 3 copies of Brigette. This is going to maximize. You can also run 4 copies, but this is going to make sure that we're going to have that first turn Brigette most of the time. We just need an Ultra Ball, a Tapu-Lele, or a Brigette in the hand, and out of nowhere we can get some Mudkips in play, some Slugmas in play, maybe a Alolan Vulpix, and we can get the ball rolling here. As soon as we get a Rare Candy, Swampert gets in play, and then we have access to that Power Draw, and with Power Draw you basically get everything else. Next up, draw supporters. We're gonna have a total of 7 draw supporters. That might seem low on the other hand, but we do have Swampert that is also a draw support Pokemon. So 1 copy of Sycamore. Sometimes you need that heavy draw. Let's say you have a bunch of water energies in the hand, and then you have already your field set up. Well, you can just use Sycamore, getting those energies in the discard, and rely on Aqua Patch, which will feature later down in the video. Next is 2 copies of Cynthia. Cynthia from the Ultra Prism set is definitely amazing, and as soon as the rotation takes place, as a little mentioning, this is a pre-rotation video. If you're interested in post-rotation content, that will come on the channel very soon, so be sure you are subscribed because I'm gonna talk about every popular deck and we're gonna make post-rotation deck lists. But for now, this is the World's format, or maybe a tournament you're having between this date and the 1st of September. It could be that there's still a tournament here and there while you can start using this list. list if you have the cards. Moving forward, we're gonna have 4 copies of N. Why is there 4 copies in this list? Well, that's because late game Ns are still so powerful. This deck is gonna fall behind. Your Mudkips will take a smack here and there. Slugmas or Magcargo can go down, Vulpix as well. So you're gonna fall behind pretty quickly. And if you're falling behind, a great comeback card is of course N. Each player shuffles their hand into their deck and draws the same amount of prize cards that they have remaining. So let's say the opponent has only 1 prize left. Well, you end them to 1 while you still have access to the power draw ability. So you don't end yourself too much, so 4 copies of N is very neat. Then the last supporter in the deck is gonna be Guzma. Guzma, there's gonna be 3 copies of Guzma in here. You can target anything you possibly want on the opponent's bench, drag it to the active position and smack it for the KO. The good news is Guzma can also switch your own Pokemon, which means you can just get that Magcargo out of the active from time to time, because both Swampert and Magcargo have 3 retreat costs, so sometimes Guzma can also be beneficial in that situation. Next up, we're gonna have the item cards. We're gonna run 4 copies of Ultra Ball. Ultra Ball is just self-explanatory. It's almost in every deck. Ultra Ball gets out your Pokemon. As mentioned, you can also rely on either these 2 cards, but I couldn't find the space in the deck for it, so these are just extra mentionings if you want to build the deck entirely different. So 4 copies of Ultra Ball, I think that's just fine. If you get that first turn Brigette, getting the Ultra Ball for a Swampert is nice. Then you have access to Power Trade and the ball gets rolling like that. As a little extra, I also included 1 copy of Heavy Ball. We're still pre-rotation, so Heavy Ball still works. Getting out a Pokemon with 3 retreat cost or more, well, Swampert has 3 retreat cost, Magcargo has 3 retreat cost. It's ideal. As you have that first turn Brigette, you have that extra 1 card that can get your evolutions out. Next up, the card that this is definitely loving here, this deck. 4 copies of Aqua Patch. Aqua Patch is amazing. Why is that? You can get a water energy from your discard pile and attach it to one of your benched water type Pokemon. Well, if the Swampert gets KO'd, it does need 3 energies in order to attack. Well, you just attach an energy from the turn, use Aqua Patch, and out of nowhere, if you get a second Aqua Patch, thanks to the next card I'm gonna talk about later, you're definitely gonna have your Swampert set up in no time. And the next card I want to talk about is Puzzle of Time. Puzzle of Time can get back any 2 cards from the discard if you have 2 of them in the hand. And most of the time, you will get your Aqua Patch back. Let's say your Swampert gets knocked out. You do have 160 HP, so Zoroarks will be 2-shotting you unless they're definitely gonna 2-shot you. There's no way they can 1-shot at 160 HP 1 prize attacker like that. So you use Aqua Patch, attach of the turn, Puzzle of Time, another Aqua Patch, or maybe you have 2 Aqua Patches already in the hand. Well, you can set up your Swampert out of nowhere. And the good news is, why is this so easy? With Magcargo. If you have 1 Puzzle of Time in the hand, use Magcargo, get that second on the top of the deck, and draw it out with Power Draw. That's how it works. It's very fantastic. Having 1 Puzzle of Time in the hand ensures you can have access to your discard at any given time. Thanks to Magcargo. Magcargo can just put something on the top of the deck. If you have another puzzle, if you need it, boom, it's there. So that's why I'm loving this deck so much. Also, Swampert is one of my favorite Pokemon. I've been playing with Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald days, always picking Mudkip because Mudkip is awesome. I also remember that I used to have the way that I used, I had a Mudkip and I had to train it up to a certain level, I think 42 or something, in order for it to learn Hydro Pump. And I just love that this Swampert has Hydro Pump. It brings back so many memories. So moving forward in the list, we are gonna have 4 copies of a rare candy. We're gonna skip the Marsh Stomp phase because we are just gonna rely on rare candy, and with rare candy you can evolve Mudkip straight to a Swampert. How amazing is that? Moving forward, we're gonna have 2 copies of Choice Band. Choice Band will get you the extra numbers. If you have 3 water energies attached to the Swampert, we can deal 140 damage. With a Choice Band, that's magically 170. We can easily get the knockouts on Tapu-Lele. We use Guzma, get a Lele in the active, and smack it for damage. That's why this list is working out here. They might also one-shot your Tapu-Lele, but we have some cards if we're falling behind, as mentioned as N. Next card on the list is 2 copies of Floatstone. As mentioned, we have a huge retreat cost, so that's why we're running 2 copies of Floatstone in order to get out of the active position. We have, of course, Swampert, 3 retreat cost. If it does not have any energies, Aqua Patch only works on a benched Pokemon, so it will be stuck in the active. We have Power Draw, we have Magcargo, we can get that Floatstone when we want it, so 2 copies of that. And even if there's one in the discard, we can get it back with Puzzle of Time. Next, 2 Field Blowers. Why is Field Blower such a must in this deck while Garbage Toxin is still around? If the opponent decides to run Garbage Toxin, our abilities are shut down. I don't know if you have noticed it, but this one has an ability. this one has an ability, and this one has an ability. They all have abilities. If we don't have access to our abilities, we are crumble and fall apart. So 2 copies of Field Blower, we can always get them back with Puzzle of Time, but we need those Field Blowers in order to have a little bit of a better matchup against Garbodor, although Garbodor is always a difficult matchup. We run a bunch of item cards, but we're also a 1 price attacker, so at least we have that going for us. So I definitely think Field Blower can get removed from the list after rotation, but before rotation definitely included. You can also leave the opponent stuck in some weird situations where you Field Blow their Float Stone away. You don't have to be afraid of choice bands unless they go after your Tapu-Lele. So very solid, including 2 copies of Field Blower. Next, the energies. We're gonna run 8 water energies, so 8 basic water energies. That is going to be enough. You might say, well, you need more. Well, that's not true because we have access to Aqua Patch. Aqua Patch can get them back from the discard, so no need for Super Rod or any shenanigans like that. With Puzzle of Time, you can get back, yeah, you actually have more copies of Aqua Patch than you can imagine. So you have 4 copies to begin with. With Puzzle of Time, as a maximum, you can actually use 8 Aqua Patches in a match. So those 8 water energies will last you through the game. So this is going to be the list. The only thing I am gonna mention here is the extra 2 cards. So in total, we're gonna have 60 cards, and that's 2 copies of Counter Energy. Why is Counter Energy such a great card in this deck? First of all, we are gonna have, of course, the reasoning. We're gonna fall behind. They're gonna knock out our Mudkips. They're gonna maybe knock out our Slugma, maybe Alolan Vulpix. We are gonna fall behind, and with that, we can access. We have access to Counter Energy. We can attach it to our Swampert, and out of nowhere, Swampert has 2 water energies attached. So it does not state that it has to be basic water energies. It just states that this attack deals 20 more damage for every water energy attached to it. So no basic energy, this counts as a water energy. So this is going to be a huge amount of damage if we are able to attach counter energies. That way we can just attach on the turn, counter energy, and then use Aqua Patch, and out of nowhere, this where the choice band can deal crazy numbers like 190. So that's why I'm loving the counter energies. Only 2 copies, since sometimes you don't fall behind, sometimes you're facing a slower deck, but 2 copies will be efficient. If you need them back, you have, of course, Puzzle of Time to do that. Now that we have these 60 cards laying right here, I'm gonna talk about certain cards that can help you out. So this is going to be 60 cards, and I'm also gonna talk about some cards you might put in the list and change it up a bit. Rescue Stretcher is a nice card because you're only running a 1/1 line of Magcargo and only 1 Vulpix, so Rescue Stretcher can be nice, but of course we have Puzzle of Time, so maybe after rotation, maybe grab to the Rescue Stretcher. Next up, if you're not a big fan of Magcargo, if they always target it, you can also rely on Mallow. Mallow is nice, putting 2 cards on the top of the deck. You can draw them immediately with Swampert, but the bad thing is it's a supporter, so you cannot put a Guzma on top since you won't be able to use 2 supporters in a turn. So Mallow is still interesting though. Next up is Double Carlos Energy. Sometimes you don't fall behind in prize cards, and Double Carlos Energy can work for the Swampert. You won't be able to one-shot with it, but with 1 attachment of the DCE and an Aqua Patch, you are able to deal 100 damage, so you'll be able to 2-shot. So Double Carlos Energy might also work, and with the Tapu-Lele, Tapu-Lele also has a neat attack, Energy Drive. Double Carlos Energy can also work with that. And of course, the 2 cards I mentioned before, Nazball and Brooklet Hill do work. Brooklet Hill can get out Mudkips, Nazball is great to get out everything. And that's it for another Pokemon TCG deck profile video on the channel. If you enjoyed it, be sure to demolish the like button as always, and subscribe for more deck profiles like this. Be sure also to put something in the comment section if you want to see another deck profile on the channel. Maybe you want to see, let's say, Shiftry or Banat. Put your suggestions in the comment section below. Anyhow, have a fantastic rest of your day. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys soon enough. Peace out.